Hello DIYers. I wanted to make this video this morning to show you how easy it is to set up your own solar system. Okay, it doesn't have to be expensive and it doesn't have to be intimidating, and it's so easy that you will be able to do it barefooted. Okay, all you need is just two ingredients. When I found this out, I jumped on the opportunity and I decided to try it for myself. And it works pretty well. So let me show you all that you will need. Obviously, so the first ingredient is obviously a solar panel, or plural, or many solar panels. On this channel, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with baby steps and the bare minimums and then build on that, okay? This isn't going to be about budgets and money and spreadsheets and ROIs and returns on investment and all this kinds of stuff, or measuring angles of this or that, and measuring the circumference of the earth. We'll learn about all this stuff and the MPPT, PWM, alphabet soups and MC4s and all that. But we're going to take our time and our baby steps and just start with the basics and build on top of that. So this is half of it right here, solar panel, okay? What else are we going to need? Well, this here is an inverter. Okay? It's a metal box. It's a silver metal box, if that. And it's called an inverter. This particular kind is called a grid tie. So what is a grid tie? What does that mean? Okay, it means connected to the grid, okay? But I like to call it no batteries needed. No batteries required. That's right. This whole system of two things, this is just a regular power cord like you find on a desktop computer. I know a lot of people do things from their phones these days or laptops, but back in the day, as they say, we used to use computers. I still like to use a regular computer, and this is just a regular computer power cord, very standard. Plugs in the back of this guy, and this gives us our tail. This is the output side. Okay, we'll get to that. But when it comes to solar panels, okay, solar panels sometimes connect to something called a controller, okay? Those come in different flavors of PWMs, MPPTs, and so on. But in our case, it connects to a box called an inverter, okay? So the solar panel will connect to this inverter simply, okay? And then the inverter will use a regular computer cable and plug into the wall. That's right, this is the trick. This is the magic of this system. I know this outdoor outlet is missing the cover, the weather cover, and there's a reason for that. We'll get to it, so just bear with me. Please don't focus on that and beat me up in the comments, all right? This is temporarily removed just so I can demonstrate a few things for you. Okay, so here's what we have to do. The solar panel will be our input. It is going to take energy from the sun and send it to the inverter. So it has to be, it will have to be connected to the inverter somehow. Most solar panels, okay, and I'm not talking about industrial or commercial grade, we're talking about kind of amateur stuff here, DIYers. This is a $100 solar panel from a company called Rich Solar. I've started out using some other brand, Windy Nation, so Renogy is another one. Whatever you decide on, these are like for home use, these are amateur solar panels. I'm not claiming these to be the greatest thing under the sun, pun intended. So they will usually come with some leads here, a negative and a positive, okay? And these have connectors on there. These called MC4. They are named after MC Hammer. No, they're not. But anyway, these MC4 multi-connector, and 4 I think means how big the connection is. I think that's in millimeters. Anyway, they were designed with a few things in mind. I believe the requirements were: 1, make a connector like no other in the world that is completely incompatible with anything else, and 2, make it almost impossible to unplug. They will click in easily, but try unplugging them sometimes, especially if you're making a video and you're on camera or you're in a hurry. You actually need a special tool. So yeah, I'm being sarcastic here, but these are proprietary looking, and they're also sometimes a pain in the ass to unplug. These rich solar ones actually unplug beautifully, but I've used some other ones, and if you use extension cords, sometimes they are really hard to unplug. We could just cut these off, okay? You could just cut these off. People make their own cables and solar panel wires all the time. I'm not saying go out there and use your, speaker wire that you have left over from your house speakers that you were cruising around in the 80s in your car with. You have to use a certain type of wire, but you could cut these off, and we could just connect them to the inverter, okay? This inverter has these 2 terminals. They unscrew really nicely. They're color-coded, red and black. And we can just use ring terminals, or we could cut these wires and wrap them around and screw them on. Again, if someone held a gun to our heads and said, you have to do this, all we're doing is connecting these leads, red and black to red and black, positive to positive, negative to negative on here, and that would be our input. Usually if the panel is oriented this way, these won't reach. A little trick that I do sometimes. You can flip the panel upside down. Panel doesn't care. You can have it horizontally, you can have it vertically. So we could connect this to the inverter. We're actually going to use proper extension cables, but you don't have to buy the actual ones. You can make your own. So I'm not really counting, extension cables as a 3rd key component. There's really only 2 things, honestly. That's how easy this system is. Solar panels and an inverter, okay? So here we have, this is just, I think, 20 feet. I started out with 10-foot leads, and they were a bit too short. So this is 20, positive and negative. I think everything I bought here was on Amazon, and I'm trying to, I don't like budgets, but I'm thinking that I want to see what I can do for $1,000. And originally I thought 10 panels under $100 each. When I started out, they were about $77, so that's pre-pandemic. So I thought 10 of those plus a $100 inverter, I can be under $1,000, and I want to see how much energy from the sun I can gather for under $1,000 or around $1,000. And that was sort of the challenge. The challenge that I extend to people today is you can talk shit all you want about this system, how cheap it is, how inefficient it is. Show me how much energy you're gathering per $1,000, right? Or how many kilowatt hours of energy are you storing, capturing for $1,000? A lot of these systems that you get quoted on are very expensive, okay? So this is kind of an interesting project, interesting experiment to see how much we can actually capture. All right, so if you buy, official extension cables on Amazon or eBay or online, wherever, then they will just snap in and extend these leads. Okay, so they will just easily snap in, and then we can take our solar panel and put it in the sun, facing the sun, leave our inverter in the shade so it doesn't get hot, and also so that it will reach and plug into the wall. What I'm going to do is, in addition to just stripping these ends, like I think they actually do a good job of just cutting it. We could literally just wire this to it. We could maybe strip more and loop it around the terminals here. But I'm going to put a nice ring terminal on here and crimp it on. And I just want to make it nicer. But again, you don't have to. Okay, so I have a baggie here of ring terminals. These are 1/4 inch, I think, and for 10 to 12 gauge wire. Hopefully they will work. Also, just to kind of go the extra mile, is I like to mark my wires a red for positive, and then I'll just shrink wrap them with red and black to make a stronger connection at the end there. That's all optional. I like to color code them just because for some reason they give you 2 black wires, and you know, the further away you go from the inverter, the more confusing and harder to tell which one is which. Some are labeled, like this one says or negative, this one says positive, but that maybe doesn't carry all the way through. So anyway, I'm going to bring you in closer so that we can crimp these. All right, so here we go. We're going to crimp these on camera. Perfect. It's already got tangled. So this one here is the negative. Just get 2 of these out. And I'll just see if I have one big enough. Remember to slip this on. This is the crimping tool. GS388 GB, I forget who makes this. There's probably 7 different ways to crimp. Everybody has their preferences and everybody's right. Huh, that's interesting. All right, there's one. And then, did I even bring a lighter? So I'm old school, I just go with a lighter. You can tell, even if there's a little bit of wind. Wow, perfect. Yeah, it's totally making me look bad on camera. I'm not surprised at all. There's no wind. There's no wind whatsoever. I'll probably do this indoors just because I'm looking foolish. So Same thing, we'll do the positive. Wonder if this one's big enough. Probably isn't. Nope. Okay, and there's that one, and I will probably go inside indoors and do this heat shrink, yeah, because it's just, of course it happens because I'm on camera. Okay, so I took those inside, and of course they shrink wrap beautifully. So here they are, okay? Okay, now with the solar panel out on the lawn, I'm going to take the leads and connect them to the inverter. Okay, so black to black, that's the negative. They give you a couple extra washers on here. So I'm just literally screwing these on. No special tools needed for this whatsoever. This is the positive, okay? Okay, so this is our DC input coming in. So solar panels capture the energy from the sun in a form of direct current, okay? Then that goes to the inverter, and an inverter inverts it from direct current to alternating current so that we can plug it into the wall. We can discuss all those things later. So now all we have to do is plug the inverter into our outlet and turn it on. And the way this works is that it will come up with a red light for error, power on essentially, and then the green light will turn on, meaning it's running, okay? That's it. At this point, we are literally capturing sun power, sun energy, changing it from direct current into alternating current, and sending it to the wall. So there are limitations of this system, just like there are pros and cons of any system. We will never store any energy. However, as long as your system doesn't exceed what you're consuming, it will go into the house, and the house will use the sun energy first or along with to augment what it's pulling from the grid. You can read about these systems online and how they work, but yeah, there's a downside, okay? We're not storing any energy in any batteries because there are no batteries. What you see here is what you get. No, this system does not generate any power, any energy at night, okay? Or if it's a super cloudy day. But it only works when it's sunny. So on best days that I've observed, you can actually capture some energy for 12 hours. It's more like 10 and really more like 8 of getting some really good energy, if not 6 hours. But it's better than nothing. And I will show you how much this stuff can actually generate. Obviously, we'll add more solar panels. But yeah, there are no batteries in here, so we're storing nothing. In terms of safety, okay, the grid has to be on. If an electrician comes out to this house to work on my house, then he turns off the power from the grid. This system shuts down. This is not going to electrocute him or her. It's not going to hurt them, because this only works when it senses there's power in the house, in the grid, in our outlet there. Okay? All right, so let's talk about additional limitations of this system and potential solutions for those limitations. So this thing is dumb. It's dumb in the sense that the best it does is gives us what are called idiot lights, right? If the green is on, we assume things are good, but what exactly is happening, we have no idea. When the red is on, something is bad, right? So how can we get some intelligence? How can we get some data out of this system? How can we tell if it's actually working? Well, we can use a watt meter, okay? This is called kilowatt. It's an older unit. We will start with this unit here, and I will show you what it can show us. I will show you what it can report, and to prove to us that this is actually working. I highly recommend you get these and start plugging in your appliances, your computer, your laptop, and see how much energy, how much power they're actually using, okay? I really love having this and checking out for myself what type of energy my refrigerator uses or my washer and dryer. Okay, so I'm going to turn it off. Simply unplug it. You plug this in there. And now you can see one of the reasons why I had to remove the cover, because with the big metal weather strip cover, I couldn't plug in some of these devices. So let me bring you closer so you can see this. Okay, so here we are. This is my iPhone cam. The inverter currently is still turned off, and that's on purpose. But it is plugged into the wall. It's plugged into the outlet. And this is the kilowatt, and right now it is on the volt setting, okay? And it's saying that we have 119 volts. So then we're gonna press the amps, and right now it shows 0 amps, okay? And then we can press watts, and it's 0.3 watts, so it's basically nothing, okay? Now let's go ahead and put it on amps, and let's turn it on actually. So it takes a while for it to go from, there it goes. And now we can go back to our meter, and you can see the amps are actually climbing a little bit. So it is sending 0.7 amps into the house. Again, this is, and right now this 100-watt panel is sending 60 watts into the house. It's early morning right now, so the sun isn't at its peak or producing the most energy. Again, this is only one panel. This is only 100-watt panel, and I've seen this one actually generate up to 80 watts. So we'll see how we do today, but that's pretty good. So this here is 60 watts going into the house. So alternating current, 119, call it 120 volts. Now it's doing it at 0.7 amps. And there we have it, 60 watts. Okay, so that's one way we can do this, using this thing called a kilowatt meter. Okay, so the system is working. We are using a power meter here, a digital meter, to show us that it's actually receiving 60 watts of power. In my hand, I just have a newer competitor or a generic kilowatt meter I got off of Amazon. And at first I didn't like this unit. I love the simplicity of that one, but I'm sharing this one with you because it has some functions that are pretty cool that this one does not. So this one, in addition to showing you everything that this guy does, the original, it also shows you the minimum amounts and the maximum ones. So rather than being out here and watching this meter all day, you know, and then going to the bathroom or going to get a beer and missing its peak power capture of, let's say, 80 watts, this one will do it for you, and at the end of the day you can come in here and just press the function button and see what was the biggest wattage of the day or of the week or of the month. It will capture data for as long as it's powered on type of deal, or until you actually reset it and clear it. So I think that is really neat. I'm actually going to go ahead and swap it right now on camera here, and we're going to be using this one. But I wanted to share the original because some of you may already have it. This one has been out, I want to say, for decades, and this one probably for like 5 years, if not more. So this is from Amazon as well. It's pretty cool. All right, I'll be honest with you, because I'm on camera, I'm going to try to behave and actually turn off the inverter and then unplug it. But I'm being honest, man, I unplugged this thing a bunch of times without turning it off. It doesn't care. Okay, so here it is climbing, and it is currently at 61. And if I press the function button, it will show us kilowatt hours, volts 119, amps 0.66, watts low 0.1, watts high, that shows us 133. I don't think I reset it from last time. You just use a paper clip and you press it in that little hole and it will reset it. But yeah, the cool thing, and then overload. The cool thing is that it will show us the high and lows for the wattage. So just wanted to share that with you. Okay, so we've seen what comes out of this inverter in terms of volts, amps, and of course watts, right? Now, can we see what is going into it? So for that, I want to just show you that we can start off by using a basic multimeter, okay? I know that the solar panels have a maximum voltage of 18 volts, so I can set this one on 20. If we were using a higher rated panel, let's say 21 volts, we could put it on 200 here, but 20 will be fine. And this is basically set on DC voltage right now. And then we can take our leads and touch them here to the negative and the positive, and I am getting a current reading of 16.9 volts, okay? So we could alligator clip these or put ring terminals on these, connect a cheap voltmeter on this side, and we could constantly monitor this if we wanted to. Maybe some of you would argue that, well, isn't that using a little bit of power, a little bit of energy? And yes, but then we could leave it permanently connected and turn it off when we don't need it. Then we could turn it on. Or we could just use it for troubleshooting, you know. If we're seeing that this is only giving us, let's say, 50 watts and we have a 100-watt panel out there, I wouldn't be happy with 50%. At certain times that is totally acceptable, but not, you know, if that's the best we can ever get. So then I would want to come and take some measurements here. Okay, but the problem is that this pretty much only gives us the voltage, okay? Measuring it here at the inverter, we can only see the coming in voltage. We can't see amps, and we can't see then the power or the watts. So is there a better way, or is there a way to get some data of what's coming into the inverter? And of course, the answer is yes, there is. Now, we are entering the arena of additional costs, but these are tools essentially, right? So you buy one of these meters, and you're not going to have to buy one per solar panel, let's say, or you just buy one and that's it for the system. So I'm going to show you a meter that we can use on this side, on the DC side, to monitor what's coming in. And it's pretty impressive because it will do volts, amps, watts, kilowatt hours, and so on. So let me bring that out next. Okay, so let's meet our next doodad. This is off of Amazon. I think this is some sort of a generic meter, high precision watt meter and power analyzer. Again, I crimped on some ring terminals on here, and this will permanently sit and attach on the DC side. So we'll turn this off, wire it in, and then see what information we get. I'm just using some small screws here, 7/16. I think these are quarter. The wrench is 7/16. I think the screws are like quarter. So I want to make this more than hand tight. And I just slip on a insulator here on the positive lead. Okay, so I'm going to wire that one last. I'll do this one to the inverter. Again, you know, red to red, black to black, positive to positive, negative to negative here. Okay. Let's see if I can tighten this guy. Oh, come on, you. Looks like I'm looking like I've never used a set of wrenches before. Maybe I need another cup of coffee. Okay, so right away, I can see we have 21 volts on here. That's called like open circuit voltage. So that's pretty impressive for this panel, which is right on spec. Okay, so now I'm going to bring you in here. Okay, so here we can see that the inverter is off, and this is reading 21 volts, okay? Upper right-hand corner. The upper left is amps, that will always stay the same. Upper right is volts, that always stays the same. And the upper, or the lower right is watts. And what I mean stays the same is that every 2 seconds the lower left-hand corner will cycle through the minimums and maximums and additional settings. So let me use my third arm to see if I can turn this thing on. Okay, so now it's turning on, and we should start seeing amps and watts, and we do. So this is what's coming in. The nice thing about having this information is it helps us analyze and determine how efficient our inverter is. The enemy of electricity is heat. So you don't just change energy from one form to another without any type of losses. And in our case, that's going to be heat and some other inefficiencies. So if you look at this guy and it says 57 watts here in the bottom right, then that's always going to be less on the output side. And I'm seeing about a 40 there. Okay, this actually stays fairly steady. Right now we're looking at 2.9, 2.8 amps, 3 amps, and the voltage is, right now it's kind of toggling 19 volts, 16 volts is what I'm seeing. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Okay guys, I'm gonna wrap up this video here. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was nice and casual. Maybe I'll have a drink out here next time. We are going to build on this information. It does get better, does get more powerful. This is a 1,000 watt inverter, and we are only using a 100 watt panel. So we could, in theory, and I hate theory, but in theory, we can use 10 of those panels to give us 1,000 watts if they were to be 100% efficient. So we have room to grow, and that's exactly what we're going to do in the next video. So stay tuned, and in the next video I hope to add another panel, show you how it works out when we start adding panels, and maybe improve on the data collection system. So that's just a teaser. Stay tuned and you will see how we build from here.